Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Upgrade or Unload. Today we're going to be working on my E36 and we're going to be turning it into a drift car. We're going to see if that'll make me fall back in love with it and want to keep it, or if I'm going to unload it.
All right, so I know I filmed this car for Winter Beater Enthusiast build.
I'm Scott Marinchek and this is my 1995 E36 convertible. Swapped the motor. It's a M52 TU, which I had to change a lot of stuff to get it to fit in this car and work. I would never recommend anybody else doing that, but it is possible and it works, and it just put down 190 horsepower on the dyno, which is pretty good for an E36, so I'll take it.
What happened to it since then?
All right, well, since then a lot actually happened. First, a lot of good stuff happened. I replaced a ton of parts on it and put a lot of our parts on the car, and we also used it for some of the development for some of the parts that we now sell. And then on my way to work one day, a deer ran out in front of me, and obviously we didn't stop in time when we hit the deer, and it's pretty much been at this point ever since. I put this on here just to cover some of the damage, to at least make it look somewhat presentable, because I straightened it back with a sledgehammer and some crowbars and all sorts of fun stuff to get it at least to this point. And then I've really just been displeased with it, and it's just been sitting around. Haven't been doing much with it, and now this came up, and hopefully this ignites the spark again.
So I know you used to use this as a daily driver. I mean, what can we do to help you keep this car?
I've always wanted to drift, so we're going to specifically turn it into a drift car so I can get out on track and experience drifting on my own. I've ridden in the car with other people before, but I've never done it myself on the track, so hopefully that'll ignite the spark and make me want to keep it.
So I noticed you already have a roll bar in there. What's that about?
Well, when we figured out we were going to do this, we found out that Mike was on time constraints because he has some other stuff that's going on right now, and we wanted to get that done because I needed his help, obviously, because he's our in-house master fabricator welder, and his welds are art. So anytime we have a chance to use him, I like to use him, obviously. I'm going to get my car ready for the roll cage to be installed. So I'm going to pull the interior, the seat, the carpet, the door panels, all that, get the cage fitted up as best as we can get it fitted up.
So part of drifting with a convertible is you need some sort of rollover protection. So we're gonna put a little roll bar in this thing. So I'm prepping these areas here. Scott did most of the heavy lifting on getting the sound deadening out and all that. I'm just wire wheeling the last little areas, making sure these plates fit. Now we're gonna tack these in, tack the hoop in, and then start working the rest of the way back.
He welded it in there, made it look extremely simple, and then I took care of all the painting and grinding and sanding and all of the crappy work, and it looks fantastic, and I can't thank him enough for his help.
Looks like we got a ton of cool parts for your car here. You want to walk me through what all we're doing?
Yeah, we're gonna do the Turner sway bars front and rear with the adjustable sway bar links, mono balls for the front control arms, mono balls for the rear trailing arms, Powerflex bushings for all the other arm locations, and the knuckle bushings, which were bearings. Hengst oil filter, Liquimoly oil and everything, and the CSF radiator, which I really like those. I put them in everything.
What are you doing brake-wise?
We're doing the Akebono brake pads all the way around, the Euro spec brake pads, and ECS brake rotors, front and rear, drilled and slotted.
Well, seems like we got a lot of stuff to get your car ready for a drift event.
Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do. All right, so got the roll bars all in, got it all painted, and I have The floor's all painted now. Came out pretty good. I just used a Herculiner truck bed liner and a can. And then this is Rust-Oleum Ford Red. Also got the radiator out, water pumps out, thermostat housing. It's coming along. Alright, so we have the door cards all in here. I'm probably going to trim this corner here for the harness, just so it's not bent quite as bad. These fit extremely well. We sell these on our website. They're Macaw Racing. I couldn't recommend them more. Very simple to install, and they serve their purpose. Makes it look a lot more put together than without them, for sure.
Yeah, we'll link them down below for you guys too.
I'm gonna tackle the cooling system today, and to get it ready for drifting, I have like a go-to proven setup that I like to use, which is the CSF radiator. Everybody who knows BMWs knows the Stewart pump. You gotta have the water wetter. And then something that I haven't had before, which is really nice, is the Turner thermostat housing, which has a replaceable thermostat, which was allowed me to get this Mishimoto thermostat, which is a 155 degree Fahrenheit thermostat. I think the factory one's like 190 degrees. So the engine will run about 30 degrees cooler. And seeing how this thing's gonna live on the rev limiter, I feel like that's a good idea. I also have a Mila clutch fan that I bought for this last time, replaced it as preventative maintenance. That's gonna go back on because I am a firm believer in leaving a clutch fan. Electric fans are great, but I have never had a problem with a clutch fan, and I have multiple problems with electrical fans. I used our off-road jack that'll be available soon here, and this random assortment of tools to straighten out the car from when the deer folded in the core support and all that, and I have it all pretty much straight now. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to see if I can fit all this stuff in there and get the cooling system all buttoned up today. One more thing I wanted to mention was this here Turner coolant reservoir. As you can see, when I hit the deer, it smashed into the valve cover, and if this had been the plastic factory coolant reservoir, I would have had to get towed home. If you're going to be drifting or racing or anywhere where you may have an incident, I highly recommend this reservoir. We're turning my E36 into a drift car. I already had some parts on it before, like I had a 373 LSD, and I have our adjustable arms here, which are really nice. I have the billet sway bar brackets, and then I have urethane bushings, but for drifting, I was recommended to swap to all solid mounts except for the differential, which is going to be urethane. So I'm going to pull the subframe back out and swap all of the bushings to aluminum solid bushings, and then I'm going to do the mono balls along with trailing arm reinforcements and the subframe reinforcement kit as well. One of the cool things about using these bushings is you don't need to use a press or anything to install them. Once you've got your old bushings out, you can usually install these by hand, or at worst case you need a big pair of channel locks or a rubber mallet to put everything together. And it really helps out and takes a lot of stress off you. Alrighty, I got the Turner aluminum subframe bushings installed here. To be honest, they were a little bit harder to install than a urethane bushing, but we're going to get the added benefit of zero movement in the subframe at all, so there'll be zero self-steer, there'll be zero change in any suspension geometry, even under the harshest conditions. I wouldn't run these in a street car myself, some people do, but if you're looking for no NVH, I would stick with a urethane bushing, but for a race application, this is what you want.
So on the convertibles specifically, they're kind of susceptible to the rear subframe mounts tearing out, just like E36. So what we've got here are the BMW OEM reinforcement brackets. And these just weld right in place, just right up here. And these are going to reinforce our subframe mounting points. And then we've also got the reinforcements for the R-tab pockets. These are also susceptible to tearing out on M3 and on non-M. So we'll get these welded in per Mike's recommendation, and this will be good to go for many clutch kicks to come.
So we got all the subframe reinforcements and the trailing arm reinforcements welded in. Tolly did that for me. And then after you do that, obviously when you put them in, you stitch weld them, so you'll have a gap between. So you want to seam seal just to make sure that you seal the seam and you get no water behind it so it doesn't rust from the inside out. So that's what I did, and then I just used truck bed liner and sprayed over top of it. And I'm gonna start putting all the stuff together for the subframe and get that thrown back up in here and get the rear end back together. Alright, well I just got done installing the brakes here on the drift car. The rotors are the ECS coated rotors. They're drilled and slotted. They're directional. The boxes are labeled left and right. And then the pads are from Akebono. And they're just the OE or replacement Euro spec pads. And the fitment was really good. And they should work perfect. I just got the diff put in the E36, the welded diff. It's a 410, which will give me positive lockup whenever I want it to lock up. It's all reassembled. The last touch is putting the Turner sway bar on. You can see the size difference between this one and the factory one. It's gonna make the rear of the car a lot stiffer. And then I also have the adjustable Turner sway bar links so we can dial in exactly how much stiffness we want the rear end to have. And the rear end is just about buttoned up here. Alright, so I have the full M3 conversion kit from Souvenir Motorsports here. I'm going to start by trying to install the rear bumper cover here and see if I'm missing any clips or pieces, and then we'll move to the side skirts and then move on up to the front. Dave just showed up here from Nexen with some tires for the drift car so I can actually go drifting, because building a drift car and buying tires for it is very expensive, and as you know I have 3 kids, so my funds for car stuff is limited. So he really came in clutch here hooking it up so I can go drifting without getting yelled at as badly.
These are our Nexen Enfair SU1s. This is an ultra high performance summer tire. It's got great wet and dry handling capabilities, as well as 300 tread wear. This is a pretty common tire that we see on a lot of our grassroots track day stuff, grassroots drifting, you know, just your daily street car, your regular, you know, fun weekend car, kind of stuff like that. We see a lot of people run these. They're pretty pleased with the way that the tread design actually displaces the water, even when it's wet. They grip you up the way you need it. And then, yeah, they should be pretty good for drifting, and hopefully they suit you well.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, we're here working on the drift car again. We're gonna put the angle kit on it. I have the Turner control arms here and a SLR mini quick steer kit. I can tell you it's gonna add more angle, and that's about all I can tell you. Mike's gonna go ahead and explain in depth of what exactly this is gonna do for the car.
So obviously with drifting, you want a little more angle. It makes it easier to correct some of these slides and stay at angle and transition with your buddies. So that's really what you're after. In order to do that, you need a longer control arm like these, so that way at full angle, the tire's not getting into the body or the inner frame rail and binding up and slowing you down. Also, you get a bunch of adjustment with these angle kits. So you're correcting for roll center when the car's a bit lower, so it'll handle quite a bit better. You have Ackerman adjustments. You can change the steering feel and the way the front end sort of drags in a slide. There's a bunch of different settings that you'll be able to mess with. Gives you a bunch of versatility, so that way you can set the car up for what you like to do driving-wise.
finally got the drift car all done. As you can see, I got the angle kit on. The wheels are sticking out a little bit further and they're obviously at an angle, but it gives me quite a bit more angle for when I get this thing to the track to drift. I got the Kamai eyebrows on there, which you don't see on a lot of cars. I got the Souvenir M3 complete M3 kit. Everything fit really well. I was very impressed with the fit and finish of these parts. My buddy James was able to just scuff them up and paint them without having to do any body work, so that's a shout out to Souvenir. And I wanted to give a huge shout out to Nexen Tire and Dave Siebert. They hooked me up with 12 tires, 4 of these size for my 18s, and then 8 tires for the rear wheels for when I go drifting. This really would not be possible without their help, so thank you very much, Nexen. These are the Infera SU1s, and just for my short time driving them, they're extremely grippy. It was hard to get the rears to spin, so I'm glad I went with the narrower size for when I go to drift it to put less stress on the car. But I'm excited to actually take this to an autocross track as well and see how it does with these tires. And then these are the Techniform 006s, and I had them painted by my buddy James. He painted them Hellrot red to match the roll bar and the seats and tie together the whole project. I'm super pumped about this setup, and thanks again, Nexen. Thanks, ECS Tuning. Pretty much everybody here has been involved in this project in some part, and I appreciate all your guys' support. I feel like this is a family, and I love this place very much. Thank you guys very much. My initial thoughts after driving the car is it's a lot more race car than it was before. There's a lot of clunks and bangs. It's gonna do exactly what it's supposed to do, and it feels the way that I was expecting. I'm super pumped to get it out on track, which you guys aren't gonna see in this episode, but if you like, comment, and subscribe, you'll be able to see me either do the car justice or make myself look bad in the next episode when I finally get to take this thing on track and go drifting and accomplish something I've wanted to do for 5+ years. Thanks to everybody involved in this project. This has been great, and I love you all.
Yeah.